Welcome to What's Up Pasadena. Looking for something to do? Pasadena has places and events galore to guarantee a fun-filled summer. On this episode, we hang with some scaly companions at Repticon, have a totally rad time reliving the 80s at MeowMeowz, and celebrate 100 years of the Pasadena Playhouse during an epic block party.
Today is the Pasadena Playhouse's Centennial celebration. We are having a block party along with the Playhouse District Association, and we thought the best way to celebrate 100 years of this amazing, important institution was to open our doors wide, invite the whole community to come and celebrate together on the streets of Pasadena. We have over 50 participating organizations, hundreds of artists in the community at all levels, from little ballerinas that are 3 years old to professionals on our main stage. We really wanted to be a community-wide celebration of culture, which is really what the Playhouse and the Playhouse District are all about. So we have two stages. We have a family stage with programming all day for families. We have a main stage in the back with bands, with drummers, with dancers, with anything you can imagine, theater, all from different groups in the community. We also have food trucks for everyone who's looking to have food. We have beer. You can walk around the street on El Molino and have a beer. It's fantastic. We also have activities from different cultural organizations and different organizations in Pasadena, from Musique and Pasadena Pop's Petting Zoo. We have museums all over Pasadena, LA Zoo. We have tons of activities going on all day long. Our mission here at the Playhouse is simple. We exist to enrich our community. And so we do that through theater, but what better way than to gather the community, to open our doors wide and say, everyone come and celebrate together the great culture and history of this historic institution. The Pasadena Playhouse is very unique in that it started back in 1917. A group of community members gathered in a house just down the street from here and said, we believe this great community of Pasadena needs a great theater. And this was at a time where we're sitting now was all sort of orange groves and there weren't buildings around. And they understood that every great community needs great cultural institutions, and we were one of the original great cultural institutions in the city. And they came together, they raised the money, and they created the Pasadena Community Playhouse. Within about 10 years, they went door to door, raised some money, they bought the land we're sitting on now, and this building was built, which is one of the most state-of-the-art theaters at the time. And within 10 years, we had world premiere plays by Eugene O'Neill, by Tennessee Williams. Martha Graham, the famous dancer, was the first person on our stage. By the late 20s, we opened a theater school, which had the likes of Robert Preston, Ruth Buzzy, Sally Struthers, Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman. It existed all the way from the late 20s, all the way into the early 60s. It was one of the leading acting schools in America. And all of this was right here on El Molino in Pasadena. If you think about what was going on 100 years ago, there weren't a lot of theaters going on. The big theaters in town, the second oldest is about 50 years. And so we really have been around for a whole lot of things going on in the world. If you think about audiences have been coming up these steps right here for a very long time, seeing classics, seeing new work, seeing plays, and that's amazingly unique. And also on top of it, it always had a community-centric mission. Which was different than some other theaters. In the very beginning of our time on stage, you saw professional actors next to community members. We look at the Playhouse both as being a very hyper-local community and a community institution, but also a national institution. Plays that have started at the Playhouse have gone on to Broadway over our history many times. Yet at the same time, we have programs like Community at Play, where we bring kids and different service organizations in our community to come see the plays and the work we do here. This year we took the entire 7th grade class of PUSD to see Pirates of Penzance, and we're going to continue to do that in the future. So we're really about serving the broadest section of our community to fulfill our mission. When our country is quite divided, we feel the need for theater and the need for culture more than ever. The idea of theater, the idea that strangers in a community come together and sit in a dark theater together, to experience together, to hear stories, to laugh together, to cry together, to put themselves in other shoes, to be challenged together, it's essential. It's sort of base in all of us, and I think there's a human need for it, which is why theater and people gathering together to hear stories will never go away, in my opinion. Through Netflix, through HBO, through television, through movies, this place existed. This place existed before that. Theaters existed since the ancient Greeks, because there's a human need to come together, and that's really our role in this community, is bringing people together, as many as we can, to their playhouse to gather.
Built in 1913, the Colorado Street Bridge made crossing the Arroyo Seco much easier for horses and wagons. The bridge was also once a part of Route 66.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
If you love anything with scales, that slithers, and is cold-blooded, the Repticon Convention is for you.
Today we're at the Pasadena Repticon. This is our very first show in Pasadena, so it's kind of like an experiment to see if we could do more here. It's been a really great turnout. We've had a lot of people coming by. We've had a lot of crossover traffic with the Alien Con next door. But I mean, it looks like it's a great show. Reptiles are different than cats or dogs. They are more primal. There's just something about snakes and lizards, like just the way they move, the way they act. They're different, and that's intriguing. Lizards and snakes are able to come in much different sizes and colors and shapes than cats or dogs. I can get a little 3-inch lizard that's like bright blue, or I can get a 12-foot snake that's like red. Another allure to it is that you can get almost anything you want, specifically like color, size, anything. So it's much more accessible that way, I guess.
I am an avid herpetologist, which is somebody who loves frogs. I used to raise golden mantellas. I had a pixie frog, eyelash frog from Malaysia. I also used to raise chameleons from Madagascar. So I was fortunate that I was actually able to get a male and female pair, and I was actually able to breed them and raise and hatch the eggs. I would say most of the reptiles that they sell here are very friendly. They're not going to bite you. They're not going to attack you, especially the chameleons. I mean, they live in the trees and they have no natural predators. And so I've never had one even hiss at me or try to bite me. They're just beautiful creatures that like to live in trees, and you got to make sure they get their UV light and feed them lots of crickets and worms to keep them happy. As far as frogs go, those are much more temperamental and not for like the beginner reptile enthusiast, especially if you go for the poison arrow frogs. Because they need to be kept at a very specific temperature and humidity. And then you have to deal with growing your own flightless fruit flies to feed them. So you don't want those getting loose in your house and breeding. My son has bought a bearded dragon, and they are amazing. They have such personality, and they really latch onto you as their owner. I would say for a beginner reptile enthusiast, definitely that's a great lizard to get. I also think if you deal with issues with anxiety, having a bearded dragon is very good as what they call them, therapy pets or service animals, because they'll pretty much go with you anywhere, and you can just pet them, and that kind of helps people with anxiety to calm down. Chameleons aren't good. They don't like being taken around a lot of places. Those are more just to look at. But bearded dragons make excellent service pets. And I just like frogs because I think they're so cute and adorable, and I get really excited when they're making their frog sounds, because then I know that I've made them happy. So they're very happy in their aquariums.
A lot of people believe that snakes and lizards are dangerous and scary and slimy and stuff. They're really not. They're really misunderstood. You should be cautious of all animals. You shouldn't be scared of any animals. And a lot of snakes and lizards are gorgeous, beautiful animals that are really interesting to look at, and like just to see how they behave and how they move. And it's just something that I wish a lot more people would be open to.
The theme for the Rose Parade is chosen each year by the new Tournament of Roses president. This year's selected theme is The Melody of Life. Whether you're a prom queen or a punk rocker, the 80s are alive here at the Meow Meows Retro Thrift Shop.
We officially opened in 2009. I've always collected thrift shop stuff, vintage stuff. So a friend goes, hey, there's something online called eBay. You should sell your stuff on eBay. And I said, sounds fabulous. So next thing I know, I'm making hundreds of bucks going, hey, this is great. So at the same time, all my favorite stores on Melrose and in Orange County were going away. All my favorite 80s shops, all my favorite 80s thrift shops were closing up. So ding, big light bulb went over my head and said, you know what, we need to bring this back. So I just got the dream to actually open up a brick and mortar. And it was the same name, Meow Meows on eBay. It's now Meow Meows, the shop. 80s wasn't all about, fluorescent and, the silly looks you see in a lot of old MTV videos, but a lot of, more punky aesthetic and more DIY. And so I'm seeing that same vein in new clothing today with lots of spikes and, lots of black and lots of lace. And that's just like blows my mind that that's actually, fashion trend now, and it has been, I'd say, for a good, 10, 15 years or more, which is crazy because, if you walked around with spikes and black lace, get rocks thrown at you and stuff, but hey, I survived the 80s. I should wear a t-shirt that says that I survived the 80s, looking like this. It's funny, our customers have kind of changed over the years. Initially, we had a lot of kids, a lot of, college kids and high school kids looking for band t-shirts and, funky retro clothing. We still have a lot of that, but right now we're actually doing a lot of 80s parties. People coming in, looking for, the 80s Madonna look or the Cyndi Lauper look or, Billy Idol look. And once they step in the shop, they're like, oh, I remember this. And then they, they have their flashbacks and, they come back just to be regular customers. So we make customers for life. Oh, I love watching people. Like our first-time customers are always fun to watch because it's a lot to take in. And they'll spend a couple hours here just staring at everything because I've made sure to cover every single square inch with stuff. Those are my favorite stores as a kid. So, and my bedroom basically looked like this in high school. And when I have friends come and visit me, 20-year reunion stuff, they'll come and go, oh my God, this is exactly how you had your bedroom. Like, I know, that's the whole point. So not only do we sell vintage clothing, we actually host live bands every weekend. So every Friday and Saturday we have local bands from about 7 p.m. to about 11 o'clock at night. So early shows, all ages, and up and coming artists, all original music, and it's a good, we do it up here on the stage and it's a good fun scene. It's a safe space, we keep the lights on. I want people to shop and hang out and, connect with each other, and yeah, it's been good. I had to open a shop, in homage to the 80s just because it's to me, it's the last great decade of fashion. Really, really is. After that, 90s were anti-80s, they became very, flannel, and I blame Nirvana and the whole grunge thing. The big hair and the makeup and the fun and the colors and, we were wearing vintage clothes in the 80s, we were wearing stuff in the 50s and the 60s, so just the 80s, like I said, the last great decade of fashion. So we're gonna keep it alive here at Meow Meows.
Here's your events calendar for the month of August. CatCon, August 4th through 5th at Pasadena Convention Center. Art Center for Teens Summer Open House on August 4th at the Hillside and South campuses. Summer Concert Series Deja Vu on August 4th at Farnsworth Park. Movies in the Park Coco on August 10th in Garfield Park. Concerts in the Park Latin Fiesta on August 11th at Villa Park. MommyCon August 17th through 18th at Pasadena Convention Center. End of Summer Celebration on August 29th at Descanso Gardens. That's your events calendar for the month of August. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Be sure to follow us on social media and visit us at pasadenamedia.org. See you next time.